Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about tips to develop your business side. So let's get into it. So the question in question was posted on a video where, well, it's a video where I answer the question, is programming a dead-end job after 35? And the short answer on that one, to spoil it for you, is no, it's not a dead-end job after 35. So the person writes, good video, Fredrik. Any tips on how to develop or improve those business skills uh, as you are working as a software developer? Well, I did write back to this person and I basically said that the first thing you want is to become a senior software developer or a mid-level software developer, a talented one. It doesn't really matter. You need to have one fundamental thing, and that is the seniority to know what the hell you're doing. This is why I say that it's almost impossible for a person who is like in their 20s or they're like a junior software developer to ever get to this point. It's simply not feasible because you don't have 5 years or 10 years of work experience to make any meaningful contributions to the company. Like it's simply too early for you, and that's fine. It's supposed to go that way. That's the whole thing, right? You're at that stage in your career, and this is why I tell people you have to let some stuff take time. Forget about becoming a master of all the things immediately, because you're not gonna. You're not gonna. It's gonna take time, and it's okay. It's supposed to take time. So take all those, become a master of whatever boot camp videos and throw them out into the garbage. They are lying to you. So that's the first thing. And once you have a little bit of seniority, you know the motions and you kind of know how to estimate time, and you know how systems work and so forth. And ideally this is in a company where you have a bit of domain knowledge. You kind of know how the system works, and I promise you guys, just by going through how the system works and learning how the system works, you will actually learn quite a few things about how the company operates because of this one thing. And this is a truth that it's not my truth, or it's not my saying, but it's something that I have found to be completely true. I don't remember who said it, but the saying is the company is always the code is always a reflection of the company, and I have found that to be true in every single in every project I've ever been part of. Which basically means that if you know about things like, say, domain-driven design, you will know that all of the functionality, because that's basically what you do as a software developer in many cases. You're creating a digital representation of how the company operates. For you to be able to do that in an effective way, you have to know some stuff about the company. Now, as you go along and you get better at estimating work, and you know more about the domain of the company, well, then you're basically going to be in a position where you will get natural organic contact with a lot of stakeholders, and because they're going to need you to help them answer questions about scoping stories or roadmaps, or like when is this going to be done, etc., etc. And how far you go in terms of like understanding business, and like this is the thing that also dictates if you become a CTO or a tech lead or a manager or a architect or something like that. All of this stuff, this is where the social parts come in after you have the experience. And you can of course develop these two in tandem, because that's the thing, right? You can be a junior quote-unquote tech lead or junior like architect, and that's kind of the thing, right? It's just as someone can be like a junior manager, you can be that sort of person too. And then everything is basically down to your social skills and how much value that you can bring into the different meetings that your stakeholders are going to want to host in order to figure all of this out. So that was my answer, and the person follows up by saying, thank you for your reply, Fredrik. I guess there's no way around improving social skills to get to those higher levels. No, there is not. I can promise you that. Unless you are like working as a single person on like the world's most popular open source project, like Linus Torvalds used to do. Well, he still does, but I mean, I hope you understand. Like, it's like a one in a million that you can get to a higher level without social skills. Do you think there is a way to be involved in the process of delivery, as you mentioned, and still work as a developer, or do you need to go for a product management position? Also, do you have some advice what would be a good approach for involving yourself in the process of delivery from the position of a developer? Yeah, because basically what I'm trying to pitch here is that you should get yourself involved in the process of delivery, and that is the thing I was saying about seniority and having the ability to estimate work. So what I wrote back was this. So every project requires a technical consultant in various stages of the project, and that means that everything from the first roadmap that your company is making for your project, that's like the rough thing, like, well, this is going to be this type of application, and we have this big budget, and we have all these teams, etc., etc. That's like the first thing they're going to do, all the way down, all the steps in between, all the way down to your daily work. When you are asked that question, how much time do you need to finish up this story, and you estimate that in hours. And if you have been paying attention to what I'm saying, I'm basically saying that when you are at the lowest levels of your career, the only estimation that you will be able to do, and you might not even be able to do that if you're like a complete beginner junior on your first job and it's your first week, you won't even be able to estimate the first story. But the more senior you become, the further back the pipeline it makes sense to involve you. In other words, the more senior you are, the earlier in the delivery cycle of a big project or whatever you're doing, it will make sense to involve you. And when you reach a seniority level that, let's say that you're a CTO or an architect, that is literally what you do. Your job is to be a technical expert with seniority to the point where you can estimate work for the whole goddamn company. Sometimes, I'm not saying always. I mean, of course, I mean, it's not like there's one architect that's, say, Google or Amazon or something like that. We're talking about like major projects here. But I hope that you get what I'm saying. It's when you get to that level of seniority, and I promise you're not going to get there until you're 30. It's almost impossible to get to that level unless you are gifted. And I mean, it's not even about being gifted, it's about just being around IT, in IT, and being involved to the point where you can make those type of decisions. You can absolutely be an architect or a CTO in your 20s. It's just that depending on like what the size of the role is, it might be practically impossible. So the way that you get started on that specific part of the journey is that you need, as I said, the first thing is to gain that seniority. Because getting started is as easy as having the answers to the questions of your stakeholders, basically. And then being active in helping them reach those answers. So the more you show that you can answer questions, and the more they will depend on you. That's basically what I'm saying. So if you're active in like your instant messaging channels, or like when people need someone to help them estimate something or help them with bugs or whatever, if you're showing that you are a presence, you have domain knowledge and you can get things done, and you're willing to help out people who are your stakeholders with their questions and whatever they might need, then you are in a very good position. And the first thing that you should try to get to is to get the role of a team lead or something similar. There are different variations. It's not necessarily the name team lead that's going to fit you, but what you want to get to is that one level above just being the person writing the code. And that one level above is that you are usually a team lead, where you might have 2 or 3 or maybe more developers underneath you, or like where you do the simple thing, like, I don't know, you help prepare the story cards in your issue tracking system, or estimate work, or start a sprint if you're doing Agile or Scrum or whatever you're doing. You facilitate meetings and discussions and all of that stuff. This is like the low level, this is like the beginner level management things that literally some people are educated in this, but I've found that a person who have like a developer with 5 years of experience and basic social skills can do this like that. This is not like, don't be scared of this. This is not a difficult thing for somebody who has like basic social skills, because once you get to that point, it will become your job to do the things that I'm saying. And then the difference between you and a CTO is just, okay, how many years have you been doing this, and how active have you been in trying to reach up the ladder? Because managing one team of 5 people would be the first level for you, and then managing 2 people might, two teams might be the next level. I hope that you understand. It's just a different form of leveling up your skills, just as it is with a software developer. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you are looking to develop your business side and someday become a CTO or something like that, or an architect or someone of influence within IT, the first thing you have to understand is that your main value comes from your technical knowledge. In the beginning of things, it's all about those tech skills, and it will become increasingly, it's still going to be important for the rest of your career most of the time. And you have to understand that once you have the seniority part, everything else comes down to how well do you know the domain that you find yourself in? How good are you at answering questions and providing value in technical discussions and project scoping and things like that? In the beginning, as a junior developer, you will only be able to estimate questions regarding your own work, maybe on a day-to-day basis. But the more senior you get, the bigger the scope you will be able to deal with. You will know what to do when a gigantic corporation wants to migrate to the cloud, for example. You will know how to do this, how to set things up, all of this sort of stuff, right? Not alone, of course, but you will know what's involved because you've been around for long enough. And the first way to get there is to try to get yourself into some type of team lead position or something similar to that. And in order for you to get to that level, first thing is share your knowledge with people around you, try to help out your stakeholders with their questions and so forth, and be generally knowledgeable about the system, tech and IT, and help people. That's all that there is to it, really. And then actively, if it's at all possible, try to mention to your boss or whatever that you're interested in this sort of responsibility, because increasing your responsibility is a surefire way for you to get to those higher levels. Have a great day.